from Play to Learn Preschool. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I hope you had a great Wednesday, or you're having a great Wednesday. And if you're here, let me know in the comments. I'd love to say hi to you. Today, I am sharing with you more ideas for activities, circle time, art, and books to do to teach color theory to your preschoolers. In our video on Monday, I shared some ideas about how we introduce color theory with Little Blue and Little Yellow. So if you haven't seen that video, you should go back. It's Monday, what was it, the 5th of March. There's a video about introducing color theory. Yesterday and today with our preschoolers, though, we are introducing the full range of color theory with all of the primary colors. So I have a lot of activities actually to share with you today. Hopefully it's not too much, but I'm going to show you what we did for circle time yesterday. One of the really cool centers that we have set up. I'm going to try to reenact it here on the video, although it's one of those that you have to, kind of be in the classroom to see. I'll show you the art project we did and the book for yesterday, and then sort of the same thing for today, what we did for circle time and the art project and another good book. So hopefully it's helpful. If you don't have these exact materials or you don't have this exact book, hopefully you can take the ideas and make them work for your own classroom, for your own supplies, and for your own students. Okay, so when we're introducing color theory, I love to give kids the vocabulary that they need to talk about it appropriately. So we talked to them about how these three colors, red, yellow, and blue, are really special, and they have a special name. When we put these three colors like this, they are called primary colors. And all 4 and 5-year-olds can say primary colors. So we talk about it. Let's say the word together. And what are the 3 primary colors? Red, yellow, and blue. And the thing that makes these colors so special is they can be used to make other colors. They're the only 3 that can really do that. So the very first circle time that we did yesterday with our preschoolers, when I was introducing primary colors, not just yellow and blue, to our students, this is the little activity that goes with it. I hope I can do it sort of, and you can see it on the camera. These are little plastic buckets that we got in a color sorting set. They were Gemma's kids, I think, but forever ago. If you do not have red, yellow, and blue buckets, you could use any old bucket and cover it with a piece of construction paper, or you could use a coffee can or an oatmeal container. No stress about the buckets. So if you do not have red, yellow, and blue buckets, it will be okay. You could just cover it with a piece of paper. The activity that I'm going to show you here that we did for circle time, I actually got from Judy from Art Felt. Judy, I love this activity. If you do not have these little Art Felt puppets, you could make your own with some clip art, or you could just be really creative and cut them out of construction paper. Okay, so this is a story about 3 little white mice. How cute are these little white mice? Adorable. Look, they've got cute little tails. So once upon a time, there were 3 white mice who were friends. They went out to play and spotted 3 cans of paint. A red can, a yellow can, and a blue can. The mice were so excited, they decided to jump in. The first mouse jumped into the red can of paint. The second mouse jumped into the yellow can of paint. And the third mouse jumped into the blue can of paint. And do you know what happened to those mice? When the first mouse came out of the can, it wasn't white. It was red. What do you think happened to the second mouse? When it came out of the can of paint, it wasn't white. It was yellow. And when the third mouse came out of the can of paint, it wasn't white anymore. It was blue. The mice were so surprised. And the red mouse said to the yellow mouse, "I wish I was yellow like you. I'm gonna jump in the yellow can so I can be yellow like you." So the red mouse jumped into the yellow can of paint. And you'll never believe what happened. When he came out, he wasn't red. He wasn't yellow. He was orange. When the red mouse jumped in the yellow paint, he turned orange. Wow, said the yellow mouse. That's so cool. I think I want to jump in blue. So the yellow mouse jumped into the blue can of paint. And would you believe what happened when he came out? He had turned green. When the yellow mouse jumped into the blue can of paint, he turned green. Well, the blue mouse didn't want to be left out of all the fun, so he said to the orange mouse and the green mouse, I think I'll take a turn in the red can of paint. So he scurried off and jumped into the red can. Guess what happened? Of course, I'll solicit some predictions from the students. The blue mouse turned purple. When the blue mouse jumped into the red can of paint, he turned purple. The mice thought this was fantastic. It's almost like magic, they said. What a wonderful discovery. When we mix up our colors, we can make new colors. And so that's a really simple way just to introduce the idea of mixing primary colors to make secondary colors. And of course, I'm going to give my kids that vocabulary, right? I want them to know the red, yellow, and blue are primary colors, and when you mix them up, orange, green, and purple are secondary colors. And my students eat it up when I give them those big magic words. So this is how I introduced color mixing to our preschoolers. Judy, of course, has a free download. I left the link up in the video description. So what you want to do is go to that link. You can see the puppets, and they fit on the felt board, or you could wear them like I have on my hand. It also includes some pieces of felt if you want to make your own. If you want to make your own cans, she includes a nice piece of felt for all of the primary colors. And the best part, you can download the free teaching guide and print it off to use with your own students. So this isn't the one, this is the one that came with the puppets, but it tells you what order to put the mice in the jars. So the red jar will have a purple mouse on the bottom and a red mouse. The yellow one will have orange on the bottom and yellow on the top. And the green will have a green mouse on the bottom and blue on the top. Now I just gave all my secrets away. So that's how we introduce color mixing. And of course I leave these out. My students love to retell this little story. After we did that during circle time, then we put out those same buckets of paint. Yellow, a little yellow pot of paint, a little red pot of paint, and a little blue pot of paint. This is washable tempera paint because we're gonna use it to get messy. I'm not using my acrylics on this. And we let the kids discover what would happen if they mixed the paint. The way that I like to do this is to have them choose one color for their left hand and one color for their right hand. You can do it any way you want. You can put two blobs on the paper. If you don't like the mess, I say embrace the mess. But if you don't like the mess, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, two different colors. And then you're gonna have the kids either mix them up on the paper or mix them up on their hands and make a print. And so we did that. This is fingerprint paper. Like I said, I didn't use finger paints, I used tempera. You can use finger paints. Don't stress, use what you have. And so they mixed a little blue on their hand, a little red, and then mixed them together in the middle. And I printed these little tags. I know they're backwards, I'm on the selfie cam. I printed these little tags when the papers were dry to attach so that when they go home, the parents aren't like, oh, there's a big pile of paper. So the parents, it says, ask me what happened when I mixed red and blue. And then they use baby wipes and wash off their hands. I actually took a pretty crazy picture of how many baby wipes we went through when we did this yesterday. So this one says, ask me what happened when I mixed blue and yellow. The kids never get tired of this. They'll just use a baby wipe real quick and they're like, give me 2 more squirts. This time I want yellow and red. Then we'll mix them up on the paper. So they just have this little pile of paints. Ask me what happened when I mixed red and yellow. And after they've all kind of had a turn to, do the finger painting and mix them together, then of course somebody's like, I want them all, I want all the colors. I'm like, well, do you think we could do that? We didn't do that with the mice. And of course the kids are so excited to find out what's gonna happen when they mix all of the colors. So we put 3 little blobs of paint on their paper. There's a red, a yellow, and a blue, and they can mix them together. And my students started to notice, like, oh, over here there's some green, and over here's some orange, and look in the middle, you know, oh, it turned brown. And I wrote a little tag that says, ask me what happened when I mixed red, blue, and yellow. And so we just let the pages dry, staple them together, and then the kids can take home their color mixing paintings, kind of like a little book. There is a link. You can print these. It's up in the video description, so if you decide to do this with your kids, just print a little tag and you can stick it to the front or the back so that the parents kind of have an idea of what you were working on. The center that was the most popular in my classroom this week, it's kind of hard to show you because it's one that we have on the floor, and I don't do great Facebook Live videos on the floor. Y'all don't need to see that, me laying on the floor, sitting on the floor. But I have a video, like a projector, you know, that I use when I'm doing workshops and classes, and it's got a really bright light. You could use the light table. You could use just a flashlight, which is what I'm gonna do to demonstrate this. You could use, if you have an overhead projector, I'm totally jealous. I wish I still had an overhead projector. Some kind of a bright light. And then what I did with our Magnetile collection is I just put out the primary color Magnetiles. So I just picked out the red Magnetiles, the yellow, and the blue. And I put all the others away. And what happens with these Magnetiles is if you hold them up in front of the projector, of course, you know, the red one will turn the projection red, and the yellow one will turn the light yellow, and then when you put them together, I don't know, you won't probably be able to see this because I'm on the video, but you can even shine it down on the table or down on the floor. It changes the color of the light. So if, I'm jealous you have 3 overheads. Oh man, when I left the public school classroom, that was like one of my biggest regrets, that I still didn't have an overhead in my house. So, but put out flashlights with primary color Magnetiles. Let the kids see what happens when they shine the light. It's hard to see on the video, but when they shine the flashlight on red, it's red. When they shine a flashlight on yellow, of course the light turns yellow. And when they put them together, it's orange. And so we actually had this projector down on the floor in our block area and a white shower curtain on the wall with the projector, and I put a stool over it so they wouldn't step on the projector. I took a ton of pictures, which I'll hope to get up on Instagram later this afternoon. And they were building, and it was projecting the Magnetile shapes up on the wall, and where the colors were overlapped, they were making new colors. It was so much fun and so much talking, learning, negotiating. It was awesome. So I totally recommend sifting through your Magnetiles and just putting out the primary color ones with some light, or put them over at the light table and see what happens when they mix colors. Because what happens with preschoolers, you know, they get a new idea in their head. So they have this idea, when I mix paint, blue and yellow, it's always gonna make green paint. And then they've tried it with Play-Doh. When I mix blue Play-Doh and yellow Play-Doh, it's always gonna make green Play-Doh. But with our preschoolers who are still forming these ideas and still forming the understanding in their brains, it doesn't always carry over to everything else. So if you have blue slime and yellow slime, they might not think that it's gonna turn into green slime. If you make blue oobleck and yellow oobleck, they might not be able to say, well, the Play-Doh made green, the paint, yellow and blue paint made green, yellow and blue slime made green, but maybe yellow and blue oobleck will make purple. You know, like they're still forming all these ideas in their heads. So to add a different component like light, when I mix blue light and yellow light, every single time it's green, green, green. You know, so we really want to reinforce those ideas with them. So this is another fun activity and super easy to set up. And then I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, but this is our story for story time. Mouse Paint by Ellen Stoll Walsh, which is, of course, the story that the art felt puppets are based off of. It is the perfect color mixing book. In this story, the 3 little white mice stay on a white piece of paper because, you know what? They don't want the cat to see them. And then when they start mixing up the paints, they realize they can't camouflage anymore. And so, see, they start dancing. The yellow mouse is dancing in the blue puddle. He makes a green puddle of paint. But then they have this problem where they can't hide from the mouse, right? Because they're not white anymore. So at the end of the story, they've decided they'd paint some of the paper blue so they can hide, some orange so they can hide, some of it green, some purple, and of course they left some of the paper white because of the mouse. You know, they wanted to be able to hide from the mouse. So these are all some really easy, fun activities that you can do with your kids when you're teaching them or introducing color theory. That was yesterday. We had a great day yesterday. It was busy, busy, busy. And then today I'm going to share with you another book and another art project that we did. I left the Magna-Tiles out because they came bounding out of their cars this morning like, do you still have the light up in the block center? Yes, 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 the light is still over there. Do you have the flashlights? Everything's still up, you know, so they really wanted to experiment with it again. Okay, so today, during our morning meeting, I read them this super quick book. It's called I Love Colors by Wilhelm, and it's about a little white dog. You'll see a recurring theme, right? Who decides to dip parts of his body into the paints. So he dips his tail into red, he dips his legs into, or he dips his head into yellow, he dips his legs into blue, and then of course, he starts mixing them, right? So his head is yellow and his tail is red, and what happens where those two meet? He turns orange, and then by the end, he's got blue feet, and then he's gonna dunk one yellow foot into the blue, and it's gonna change his feet green, and by the end he's like a rainbow dog, right? So it says, look at this rainbow dog, and he jumps into the swimming pool. Watch out, here comes rainbow dog, and splash, he's white again. So it's about dipping the ear into the paint, dipping the foot, dipping the tail, dipping his nose into the paint, and making different colors. So the art center then that we had set up for our students to investigate was a dipping center. I loved this. It was a little bit messy, but it was so much fun. So we gave everybody a paper towel. Now you're going to want to use the really good absorbent paper towels. Do not do the school paper towel, the one that feels like sandpaper. That is not going to work. And we taught our students how to fold, which is a pretty good skill for a 4- and 5-year-old to have. So we said, you know, like match up the edges and push it down, put it on the table. And then we're going to make it into triangles. So again, match up the edges and push it down. Again, match up the edges. We're just gonna keep making a smaller triangle, smaller triangle, smaller triangle. And the kids are like, we're making paper airplanes. Not quite. And so you can do it as small or as big as you want. So we just made these little paper towel triangles. And then I put out 3 colors of watercolor paint. You could use food coloring. It doesn't really make any difference. You want it to be pretty dark, so we have red, this is yellow, it's left over from this morning, so it's got a little red in it, because you know what happens, and blue. And so they each had their paper towels and these cups of really darkly colored water. And so then what we talked about is how the triangle has 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, and it has 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And we were gonna dip each point into a different primary color to see what happens. I wore gloves for this because I told them I would like wring out their paper towel a little bit, and I didn't feel like having rainbow hands all day. But they do not have to if you don't mind sending them home with rainbow fingers. So they're just gonna take the edge of the corner of their paper towel triangle and dip it into the watercolors. And then I said, you know, I'm just gonna use my gloved hand to help you wring out some of the extra water. And then they can pick what color do they want this point and what color do they want this point. At the beginning, of course, they're doing, you know, one of each color, and then they started to get really creative with it. So then they dip the next corner into the yellow. And you can sort of start to see where the 2 colors touch, right? What happens? And then this last white one, they're gonna dip into the blue or whatever color they want. They wanna do red again. And so it's good to squeeze it out though, because I'm telling you, this, you know, the paper towels are really super absorbent. So I'm just gonna squeeze it out. And you can kind of see like where the colors overlapped, where the blue overlapped with the red and the blue overlapped with the yellow. And then they're gonna open up their paper towel to see what they've created. So when they open up this little paper towel square, rectangle. They have this really cool tie-dyed picture, right? So then we just let them dry. You know, they put these on a big shower curtain on the floor and let them dry. But you can kind of see we only had red, yellow, and blue paint. And you can kind of see like where the yellow and blue touched, we got some green, and where the blue and red overlapped, we got some purple. And so we just laid these out to dry, you know, on a tray, or you could put them on a shower curtain, because we have, you know, like 100, because as soon as they open it up, they're like, oh, do it again, I want to, give me another paper towel, and they're folding them all up into these like teeny tiny little triangles, or they want to try it with a great big triangle, and they turned out so cool. So these are a few of the finished ones that the kids did this morning. Don't they look awesome? And we had them write their initials on the corner with a Sharpie. So aren't they cool? This one, he just wanted to do blue, yellow, or blue, you know, 2 blues and a yellow. And he's like, it just was blue, yellow, and green, no other colors. And they just look awesome. So what we're gonna do with them when they're dry is they can pick their favorite one. And we're just gonna back it to a piece of card stock. These paper towels are 12 inches long. So you have 2 options. You can either use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock and cut it, or you can trim your paper towel, you know, down. But then we just put a little glue dot in each corner and backed it like this, so that the paper towel has a little bit of, you know, weight to it. And then they get to take their tie-dye colors home. So this was super fun. I think each of my kids, we went through like, this was a full roll of paper towels, and I only had 8 kids here today. So we were really making a lot of tie-dye paper towels. But I think it's a fun way to see how those colors, you know, mix together. And it goes perfectly with this story of the dog who dips his ear in yellow and then dips it in red, dips his tail. So anyway, that was our art project. And then of course, the story that makes sense to go with that at the end of the day is White Rabbit's Color Book by Alan Baker. If you're not familiar with this book, it will remind you a lot of mouse paint. It will remind you a lot of the I Love Colors. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, hopefully your students will be like, hey, that book reminds me of the book we read yesterday. And they might even be using that vocabulary, that keyword like, hey, look, the rabbit has primary color paints. And when it all comes together, that's when my eyes get all sparkly and I'm like, ah, good job, kids. So this white rabbit decides to take a dunk in some paint. He starts, of course, with the yellow paint. So it's just like the mice. He dumps himself into the yellow paint. And then he decides to see what will happen if he's yellow and dunks into red. And of course he turns orange. In the middle of this one, he takes a shower and then tries again. He starts with red and then goes into blue. What do you think will happen to that rabbit? He turns... Oop, look at him. How cute is that picture? He's like taking a little bath in the blue paint. And of course, when he comes out, he is purple, a royal purple rabbit. Princess Purple Rabbit goes in the shower. And of course, then he goes, you know, yellow, blue, and then blue into yellow. My favorite part is at the end, the shower runs out of water and he's green from doing blue and yellow. And so he's like, oh dear, there's no more water, but there's a little bit of red paint left. So what do you think is gonna happen if I'm green and I take a dunk into the red paint? And I always ask the kids to make predictions. This afternoon or this morning when I was reading it to my kids, they're like, just turn the page. I was like, no, I want you to guess. And the guesses were like pink, white, purple, green, like green, orange. They guessed every color except for brown. And so then when I turn the page, I'm like, oh, look at that. Hooray. Brown rabbit. Lovely warm brown. Blue, yellow, and red together make brown. And so then they're like, huh, I thought it was gonna be pink. You know, like I said, they're still kind of making those connections and still trying to figure it all out, which is why they need lots and lots of opportunities to play, to paint, to mix colors, to mix Play-Doh, to mix light, and try to form those pieces of understanding about color theory. So anyway, that's what we did this week. Hopefully you can take at least one of those ideas and use it with your own kids, with your own classroom and your own resources. And I will be back again tomorrow to share some more ideas with you. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's so good to see so many people on today. I will hop back on and try to answer some of your questions in the comments. I was having a hard time reading them all as they were going through. But have fun playing and learning. All of the names of the books and everything, the links are all in the video description, so check the video description. Have fun playing and learning with your kids, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.